So, I really, really love Fallout 76. I've been a big fan of the Fallout series since the first Fallout game I played, which was Fallout 3. It was one of the games between that and Oblivion. It was one of the games that got me into the RPG style games like this. But I think Bethesda screwed up when they made Fallout 76. I think there's a lot of ways that they could have made it that would have made it a more enjoyable experience, but I think they were trying to cross too many different things together and kind of up in the doing of it. So, I have a few ideas of how to fix Fallout 76. One, they treat Fallout 76 too much. The gameplay, the style, everything about it feels too much like it is a solo game that you can just happen to play with other people. They're treating it like it is Fallout 4, Fallout 3, a Fallout New Vegas, but other people happen to be there, and occasionally there's a boss that you need to work with other people for. They need to treat it more like what it is, a multiplayer game, a open world multiplayer game, and kind of, in a way, to me, it's always been a Fallout plus chat room kind of thing is what I think it should be. But an open world MMORPG style Fallout game, not how it is a Fallout game where you can sometimes play with other people and interact with other people. One of the big ways I think they can do that is by introducing more social features and more big social features. Right now, the only real social aspect of this game is stuff like this that I'm doing right now, an event that you would not be able to solo. The bosses that come up occasionally, which are also classified as events, like the Ultrasite monster, the Ultrasite Titan, that Earl whatever, Arrow, the big Wendigo-like thing, or, the Scorch Beast Queen. Those are the only times, and then daily operations. Those are the only times where you are even, required, in a way, and daily operations, theoretically, you could solo. But those are the only times you're required in any way to interact with other players, which kind of removes, and the way that they are done, there's some benefit from interacting with people you're on a team with. Like, if you have the right perks, you get a benefit for that. But other than that, it's kind of like you show up, you wait for someone to start the event, and then you go, and that's it. But that's all the social interaction is you show up to an event, you don't interact with anyone, you just all kind of fight and do your own thing. One of the things I think that would improve is if they added a guild system, similar to pretty much every other online game like this. You have a guild. That guild you have some sort of advantage for being in a guild. And that guild all has the ability to interact with each other and team up with each other real easily and etc. And for this, they already have a terminology they can use for it. It could be called settlements. You can join a settlement, and that is your guild. And you have some perk for being in a settlement, and you have some perk for being in a settlement that's doing better on the server. With that, if you join a settlement, they can make it so that one thing I really would like to see is bigger camps, essentially. But what they can do is make it so that if you join a settlement, instead of you having a camp, you no longer have access to a camp. You can still have your tent, but you don't have access to a camp anymore. Instead, your settlement, your guild, has a settlement, and that settlement is a lot bigger, can take up a lot more space, but the individual members of that settlement cannot build a camp, and then depending on your position in the settlement, you're able to alter the settlement to different degrees or alter sections of the settlement, etc., etc. That way, you can have these more elaborate, effectively camps, but settlements that can look more detailed, can look bigger, can look like they're an actual settlement that's being built by a group within the Fallout universe. Like, your bunch of players are creating their own settlement within the Fallout universe, and they can have these large, elaborate, multiple buildings and multiple, NPCs that they can, instead of having a companion, you can have multiple NPCs walking around and someone manning the shops that you build. That's an NPC. If you have a settlement and you have a shop, you have a person manning it. That's an NPC that maybe you can custom name, or maybe you can custom make the way they look, or select from a tree of dialogue depending on what route you want it to look like your settlement's going after. But it would make the world feel a lot more lived in. And it would give unique experiences every time you come in, because every time you join a different server, you might find a different settlement that's different, like that's following a different kind of design criteria and a different idea and a different concept for what it's going to be about, and a different lore that they might build up behind that. You can have the settlements have lore about what their settlement is, but it makes the world feel a lot more lived in and a lot more evolving, and allows the players to impact more upon the world to build it out the way that they want to. You can also have wars going on between settlements. Like, you can have settlements be allied or at war or neutral to each other, and that can have a whole different like impact. So if you have like the two big settlements on a server are at war with each other, then they can be sending like both their players, they can launch events at each other and make it a thing, so that like in order to launch an actual impactful event on a different settlement, you actually have to like you limited the amount of times that you can do it or how often you can do it, and you actually have to go in and declare like a war action, and then it creates an event, and all the members of that settlement get warned like, hey, in 8 hours there's going to be this event where this other settlement's going to be going to war with you, and you have to defend against it, blah blah blah. But it creates a really cool, a better PvP experience than what is already there. A better PvP experience, because right now the PvP experience is you can attack someone that has PvP on, or you can raid someone's workshop and try to steal their workshop or steal stuff from their workshop, and then you have a wanted on you and you get minimal caps. But that's kind of one, you don't see it happen too often, and that's kind of like a lame, weak PvP system. But having a settlement-based PvP system where it's two guilds basically going to war with each other would be amazing. Especially, it gives more reason to build your settlement, your basically large camp, defensively with strategy. You want it to look good, you want it to be really cool looking, because you just do. Plus you can have ratings for that, and people might be more likely to join or side with the settlement if it looks really cool, and et cetera, similar to the way they have like camps get rated now, which is really cool. Like, it's a really cool thing they threw in where you can rate a camp for how cool it looks. But you have an incentive to both make your camp, your settlement attractive, but also to make it defensively minded, because now it's going to get attacked by another settlement that might go to war with. Now, in order to make that work, you also need persistent servers, similar to like what so many games do. Palworld has persistent servers. Ark Survival Evolved has persistent servers. Technically, WoW has persistent servers. Like, well, I mean, not even technically. Exactly, WoW has persistent servers. They just don't have the, ability to like change things in the world. Like, players can't really change things in the world too much with those persistent servers. But have persistent servers that you can log into, and you can have a character that can maybe make it so your character can transcend servers if you're not part of a settlement. But if you're part of a settlement, you have to log into that server in order to interact with that server, to interact with the settlement kind of thing. Or you can do it similar to the way that Age of Conan did it, where you log into one server, but there was like Age of Conan. So Age of Conan allowed you to build, if you were in a guild, you can build a city, and those cities can be built in specific sections. So effectively, like, say, yeah, and you know how games like WoW and Age of Conan and stuff like that are instanced in different areas. Different areas are instanced. So you'd have like an area around here that was an instant area, and an area around here that was an instance area, and an area around here that was an instance area. And within each one of those instance areas, there could be a total of 3 cities, or the areas that could have outposts could have like 3 outposts. So when you when you went into that instance area, if you were part of a guild, you went into the guild version. You went into your guild's instance of that area, because if your guild had a city, you would go into that city's area, part of it. Which would be a simpler way to kind of do it. Instead of having maybe persistent servers that were, similar to the way Ark is, where it's the exact same server, it's constantly persistent. It'd be if you go into that area, you go into the instance version of the area for your settlement. I still think it would be better as a persistent server kind of thing, but I get that that's a lot more resource intensive in some ways, because now you have to have a bunch of different servers that are all keeping all the data and everything. Either way, something like that allowed that settlement to exist in perpetuity. So if you decided that you really liked that settlement, if you got onto a server and you really liked the vibe of it. You like the energy of it. You like the people that you were playing with, the community that was on that server. If people had a lot of really cool camps that were on that server, people had a lot of really cool settlements that were on that server, you can choose to keep logging into that server because that's the one you like. But if you don't, if that's not the one you like, you can go to a different server that might have the vibe you want or might have the built out world that you want and would be a lot more fun for you. So it allows a lot more like user choice and the experience that they're going to get. Maybe you get onto a server where there's a constant war going on between like the two big settlements in the server, and that's something that you're really about. Or maybe you get onto a server where you have a settlement that is just like running the economy of it. And you have another one that's running like defense operations of it, something like that. It would be a really, really cool thing to have. It allows more user choice. It allows a constantly changing experience for the user rather than for the player, rather than like what you kind of get where a lot of times you get burnt out of it because it's like, okay, I'm logging on. And for a while I was playing this like every day for a long while, but after a while you get kind of burnt out because you're doing basically the same thing again and again and again, and it gets kind of like boring. This would change that because every time you logged in, you would be experiencing something different. Or you'd be experiencing the same thing, but it's the same thing that you want it to be. That's one thing that I think would be a really, really cool way to do that. Also, if you want to increase like the social aspect of the game, change it so that it's a more team-based mechanic game. Because right now, there's not really it's still treated very much like a solo game. Right now, it's treated very much like as if it was Fallout 4. The way you play this game is the way you would play Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 4. You decide your playstyle. Do I want to go for a heavy build? And there's a lot of like and honestly, there's very few advantages to not being in geared out power armor in this. There's no real advantage to it, and the way you play is the way you'd play Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, where you decide how you want to build it. Do you want to be a far range guy that's a sniper? Do you want to go for heavy weapons? Do you want to go for melee? Do you want to go commando? But ultimately, your entire playstyle is based around just how do you want to kill the enemy the fastest or the most efficiently. But it's not based around a team-based mechanic, which again, this is a multiplayer game. When you play WoW, you're not just thinking about how are you going to kill when you decide what class you want to play and how you want to spec, you're not just thinking about how do I want to kill the enemy the fastest. You're thinking about what is your role in your team to be. Because maybe you're a tank, maybe you're DPS, maybe you're a healer, you're some sort of support class. If they added something like that into the playstyle of Fallout 76, it would increase a lot of those social interactions. It would encourage you to interact with the other players more, to join guilds, to form teams, to have specific set of people that you want to play with more. But they don't have that. So they can introduce, okay, you want to go power armor, your choice of perks is a little bit more limited, and you're going to go you're best suited to go tank or heavy weapon, where you're going to be absorbing a lot of damage, or you're going to be dealing really heavy hits but slower. But you can also have support classes. You can have people that go like the more scribe route. Okay, so maybe they have a set of perks that allow them to heal their allies or give buffs to their allies more. They have, stim pack guns, or they have specific sets of weapons, tools that they can use that buff their allies more and heal their allies and allow them to play that sort of role where it's not just everyone dealing damage. And then the one class I thought would be awesome to introduce is the concept of an engineer, which would be something that makes a lot of sense in the Fallout world of, okay, you have a backline support class character that what they do is they spec'd out in a way that allows them to like, hey, they can summon turrets. They can put up turrets real quick, or they can put up defensive walls real quick, like pop up defensive walls or this or that. Maybe they can pilot a vertibird. They can do these. They can set up Tesla coils. They can set up traps to prepare for events or prepare for settlement raids or stuff like that. And they can get a special set of power armor. Maybe that's like an expansion of the Tesla power armor, where it allows them to charge. Like they have to have, as they level up, they can set up pylons and shit like that that add power charge to the area that they're fighting in, and it allows them to power those. But if they have a Tesla armor, they can power them nearby as well. Just different classes to change the way you interact with other players and the way you form teams and the way you play the game. That changes the way that the game is played to be more of a multiplayer focused game rather than a single player game where you can sometimes play multiplayer, but it's not super necessary except for very specific situations. So that's kind of my thoughts on that, on how to get the social interaction going. But one of my final thoughts on social interaction is they should really support the concept of private servers. Fallout games they survive. Their longevity comes from their modability. There are very few people I know that still play Fallout 4 vanilla or Fallout New Vegas vanilla. Everyone I know that's still playing Fallout 4 or Fallout New Vegas has modded the hell out of that game by adding private servers, by adding a way for, and yes, you have Fallout first and you can join a private server, you can host a private server, but that private server is still within Fallout 76. It's still within all the rules of Fallout 76. But by creating a method for people to be able to host private servers that are persistent, that people can join for a long period of time without having to have the host of the private server actively online, they can mod the servers. They can mod it so that they can change it. Maybe there's a new way they want to play the game, a new mechanic they want to add, a new mod, whatever. The same thing people add to Fallout 4 that they want to add to the game. Now they can do it, and that would increase the longevity of the game and increase the ever-changing aspect of the game and allow people to play the game more in the way that they want to. And it's wild to me that they haven't done that yet, but because Bethesda knows that they survive on the modding community. They actively support the modding community. They're one of the most supportive companies of their modding community that I know of. So that's one little way to improve the social aspect, is having private servers as a thing, so that you can get together with your friends and say, hey, this is how I want to play it. And yes, would your private server character not link up to be playable on the main servers because you might give yourself an easy leveling up way or something like that would make it unfair? Sure, but I don't think those people are going to care too much. Because I loved the Caravan update when it was coming out. I loved the idea of it because I thought the Caravan update was going to be you were able to put up your own trading outposts similar to your camps, or maybe those trading outposts would just be your camp and you would be having those, you'd be guarding your Brahmin, your pack Brahmin to different outposts and stuff like that. Not that it was going to be, and you'd be able to customize these outposts, and maybe these outposts would come under attack occasionally and you'd have to defend them and blah, blah, blah. Not that it would be from the same start location every time. There'd be nothing unique about it. Yeah, you can sort of customize your outpost, but only in the way of it's very similar to the Oblivion homes that you can buy, where the only real way you're customizing it is by deciding what upgrade to buy first. But if they added to the settlement system that I want them to have, the concept of trade routes where you can set up a trading outpost in your settlement and it will periodically launch a Brahmin that people can, and you could put you as a settlement can decide hey, I'm gonna put a reward on every time these Brahmin go out. I want to set so that every time these Brahmin go out, if people join the event where these Brahmin are going out for, it will allow them to get more money. It will allow them to get this reward. So it creates an event for those Brahmin going out that encourages people that aren't even a part of your, I should have healed myself, part of your settlement to participate in the event and guard it. But then also based on how much resources you're sending out with each, and the level of your settlement and how much resources are going out with the Caravan, people might also be encouraged to attack it. But if people attack it, then they receive a negative sort of alignment with you, so your members will know, hey, this is a person that in the past has attacked one of our settlements or attacked one of our Caravan outposts, so you can interact with it that way, kind of thing. But just a more elaborate system like that allows for more social interaction, more decision-making, an ever-evolving dynamic of interpersonal relationship in the game, interpersonal interactions in the game, player-to-player interactions. Now, when it comes to that ever-evolving dynamic, one of the things that I also would love to see is the world evolving. And I know other games do something similar to this. I'm trying to think of specific ones. I can't right now. But make it so that the dynamic of the world is constantly changing. For instance, no matter when you log in, if you log in and Poseidon Energy plant, Poseidon Power Plant has not been taken, has not been cleared, it is going to be filled with Scorched. No matter what. No matter what happens, no matter how many nukes are launched where, there, whatever, it is always going to be controlled either by a player or by the Scorched. And if you go to the Thunder one, it's also Scorched. If you go to the Montauk one, it's controlled by Mole Rats. If you go to these specific places, they're always controlled by the same people. But Bethesda should have learned from people being upset at some of the stuff in Fallout 4 of the fact that they didn't have a lot of choice, really. It's kind of always the same basic thing happening, and even less so than it is in this. They should allow you to change the way that happens. You should be able to have an impact on the world. If I launch a nuke in an area, that should have a persistent impact for longer than like the hour, I think it is, that the nuke effect stays active. So make it so that, hey, if people keep damaging the Poseidon Energy Plant, keep attacking the Poseidon Energy Plant, it lessens the Scorched hold on the Poseidon Energy Plant, and maybe it's more likely if a lot of actions have been taken that have increased the strength of the Mole Rats or the Mole Miners, maybe the Mole Miners will spread out. Maybe they'll take Poseidon Energy. Maybe they'll take this area. Or if people start attacking the Mole Rats a lot and weakening the Mole Rats in different areas, kind of similar to like how in Helldivers, you can take a lot of actions against, okay, if enough people do quests, do missions on this planet, now the people no longer have a hold on that planet, but create an evolving world where the actions that people take in-game have an impact on who's in control of what area, what faction is in control of different areas, because that also allows for an evolving environment, something that's going to change, gives people a goal. Maybe someone just decides, I really like the Mole Miners, so I want to support the Mole Miners, and other people are like, I hate the Mole Miners. Someone else decides, I hate the Mole Miners, so I want to get rid of them in an area, so they're weakening an area, and it creates this ever-evolving environment, and allows for more personal goals in the game and a personal way to play it, and you can see the impact of your actions on the game. So that now, rather than just logging in to do the daily quest and to increase your season ranking and blah, 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 and then, okay, I got to max level on the season ranking, or I did all the quests I can do so far for the season ranking, so I'm going to log off until I have to do it again, and then kind of create a boring thing. It creates a reason to log on every day and keep playing it and support like a specific goal, or build out a world, or support your settlement, or whatever it is. It creates an evolving environment that is going to be constantly changing and will motivate players to keep playing, and quite frankly, is just fun. It's just more fun. And the final, okay, so here's the final simple thing I think that they can change that doesn't even change the playstyle. It would be the exact same playstyle to the game, but it would make the game, in my mind, a lot more fun, a lot more evolving, and encourage people to play it. And that is the ability to save a workshop design. It doesn't have to be save multiple workshops design. It could just be save one workshop design. But save workshop designs so that when you log on to a workshop, like here, where's a workshop? I always liked the Federal Disposal Fields, and I always liked the Wade Airport. Make it so that if I go to the Wade Airport and I decide to take the Wade Airport, and I want to build up the Wade Airport in a way that I think is super cool and super interesting and really like aesthetic, that I can save that design for Wade Airport, and the next time I take Wade Airport, immediately reload in that exact design for Wade Airport, because what that does is it encourages people to create more elaborate designs for the workshops that they take. One, it makes it just easier. It makes it a lot easier to decide, hey, I'm gonna log in and I'm gonna play in this specific, I'm gonna claim this specific workshop, and it's not gonna be a pain in the ass. Because when I was playing, like, this was like the only game I was playing for a while there, and I would log on, I'd be on for like several hours. Sure, it made a lot of sense to go take this this workshop and that workshop, because I can get utility out of it, and the setup time would eventually come back to me because I would start getting the resources from it. But if I'm only logging on for like 2 or 3 hours, maybe, it's not always worth it because you won't really get that much utility out of it, and you'll spend a lot more setup time to get it. But if you could save at least one workshop, and maybe even if they wanted to throw it behind Fallout first, they said, hey, you have to have Fallout first because this is a perk you get from Fallout first. You get to save one workshop. It would still be worth it because then I would be encouraged to, every time I log on, I'm going to go take Wade Airport and I'm going to work on it to make it look a little bit cooler, just a little bit better and a little bit more awesome, a little bit more fun for people. And then over time, I've built up this really, really cool design for Wade Airport that makes the world feel more lived in and more changing. Every time people log on, they will get, unless they log on to the same server, because I want them to have persistent servers, every time people log on, they will get a different experience, an evolving experience, and they'll get to experience something new that will make the world feel more lived in and more like what they kind of marketed Fallout 76 as when it first came out, of an entirely player-driven economy and a player-driven world, and everything's going to be controlled by the player, which it sort of kind of is, but the things you have control of are very little. So those are just a few thoughts I have of how to fix Fallout 76. I love this game. I feel like if they were to implement a lot of that stuff, it would have to be like in a Fallout 76 too. Like they'd have to build the game around it. But I would, if I knew that's what they were doing, I would buy it. I would buy it immediately. I'd be so cool with that. But if you guys have, if anyone who's watching to this point has an idea for how you can improve Fallout 76, please comment it down below. I would love to hear some more ideas, and who knows, maybe if enough people watch this and enough people see it, and then Todd Howard sees it, maybe he'll start getting some ideas and be like, oh, I just came up with this great new idea of how we could fix Fallout 76 or make Fallout 76 too, and maybe it'll happen. Who knows? But other than that, if you made it this far, like I said, leave a comment, leave a like, leave a subscribe, check out some of my other stuff, and I will see you next time. Bye.